All right. We will go on the record in the matters 24 TR 112, 25 CM 30, 25 CM 125, County of Burnett, State of Wisconsin versus Victoria Mott. The state appears through District Attorney Kevin Schmidt in person. Ms. Mott appears in person with counsel Joel Feliski. We're set today in this matter for the sentencing.
This is where the courtroom transforms from quiet procedure to raw drama. The stakes? Not whether she did it, but how much she's about to pay for it. And trust me, sentencing days can be more explosive than trials themselves.
Of this case, we did have Ms. Mott here on August 14th, in which she pled guilty to violating a harassment injunction times 3 counts. We have 2 victim impact statements to hear today. We will move forward and hear those. However, I did just get a recent filing as of today from Ms. Mott in this case. I wanted to ensure that Mr. Schmidt had an opportunity to review that.
I did.
All right, I did as well. Although it is very difficult, just saying on the record, very difficult to get filings on the day of sentencings, especially when it's multiple pages. It's very hard to find time to read. All right, so Ms. Bauer, we have 2 victim impact statements. One may come at a time and sit at that black desk. You can state your full name for the record or your initials, whatever you prefer. And if you're going to read something, please read it slowly so that my court reporter can take it all down accurately, okay?
Christy Haskins.
Can you please make sure that the microphone comes down to you? Thank you. Okay.
Christy Haskins. Is that better?
Is that even working? Can you hit on the top of the microphone?
That's not working.
Oh, is it working?
No, it's red.
I think red's fine. Just tap on the tap. Or tap on the top. Yeah, it is working. So just bring it a little bit closer. You didn't get a new one for there, apparently. All right. Okay. You may begin. And it's Christy, K-R-I-S-T-Y.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Your Honor, thank you for allowing me to speak today.
And I'm hearing already that it sounds emotional or like it has emotion. And so I'm going to just let you know, if you need time to stop, I'd rather you stop, take a breath, take as long as you need to compose yourself, because again, it gets difficult for my court reporter to understand.
I'm requesting that Victoria Mott gets full punishment for all violations she incurred. It's been proven that Victoria cannot accept any implications, as she is not seeing the consequences in her actions. She repeatedly violates the restraining order against her, and yet nothing has deterred her from the fear or constant harassment she has put on this family. While we have been on this constant merry-go-round for the last several years with Victoria, we're hopeful that today, sentencing, that Victoria will finally see the hurt she has caused our family. My husband and myself, along with our entire family, had to deal with her showing up randomly.
Think about that for a second. Restraining orders are supposed to be a shield. But when the violator escalates to using a vehicle as a weapon, that's no longer just harassment, it edges dangerously close to attempted assault. Would you feel safe sleeping in your own home after that?
Whenever she feels like damaging property, Also almost running over my husband on the property. Driving over our septic system, doing donuts in our yard. The constant fear of vandalism, physical violence that she had incurred on me. This is all we've endured is not easy to be explainable. Our family should feel safe in our home. It should not feel that our property can be damaged at any time of the day. Your Honor, we ask for peace. We would like to also request an extension on our restraining order for the maximum allowed or per your discretion. We truly hope that Victoria has time to reflect on what she has damaged, what she has done. We have both, me and my husband, have traveled many times back and forth from here to other properties that we had, leaving work, spending several days at the property on numerous occasions because we did not feel that it would be safe if we were not there, even with the security cameras that we put up. The defendant has proven her inability to acknowledge or to stop showing up. She continues to be there, even after, right after we were in court. So I urge you to honestly sentence her to maximum penalty. No one should have to do this. No one should have to live like this. Not for just my sake, my husband's sake, my grandkids, and even my kids that are underage. We can't enjoy the property or properties around the area because of this. How would you like it if you're laying on your couch sleeping in the middle of the night and she drives around your property recklessly, screaming profanity outside the window? This is not one time. This is several times. She has not stopped. And I don't think she will until you honestly make her pay for what she's done. So I thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Ms. Haskins. I do have to address one thing. You did ask for an extension of your restraining orders. This is not the proper venue to ask for that. And plus, they are through 2027. So there's plenty of time to look and assess before you were to ask for something like that. But in the criminal case, I cannot go to the civil matter and adjust that. Okay, just letting you know that part.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Haskins?
My name is Jason Haskins, and I am Miss Christy Haskins' husband. A lot of the stuff overlaps. Do you want me to go through it all again?
You may. This is your time to let me know what you want me to know.
So basically, starting on July 14th, 23, There was traumatic episodes with Miss Mott, and basically on our property, continually telling me how she's an independent woman, she doesn't need help. Very violent, always violent towards my wife, more so than I. Going forward, that's not the property on County Road A. We spent the money on an ADT system with 5 cameras. The cameras seemed to always be in the position that didn't catch her, meaning she would go in the bottom door or the back door, slide in a bedroom window, however it may be. And I witnessed this once. I was in the bedroom where she thought my son would be because I had back surgery. So I was laying on his bed and I could hear a knock at the window. And my 16-year-old son had just gotten a newer used vehicle, which she did not recognize. So she's screaming through the window, "Who's in there? Who's in there?" And my son and I both woke up like, what just happened? Went outside. That is when she was driving erratically up and down the driveway at a high rate of speed. Stopped just 2 feet short of hitting me because I was not very bright. I stood right in the driveway with my hands on my hips, like, what are you doing? Didn't even let up till 2 feet and then finally stopped. Eyes were wide open. So whatever that indicates, I don't know, but wide open. So that was that instance. Basically, I agree with my wife. I don't feel safe going up there. She has many friends that have come on our property. Matter of fact, I confronted one of them, which J.J. Lehman is the gentleman's name, and asked him why he was there. And he explained he was there for Tori. And I said, I don't want you on my property. I think right now you're trespassing. Let's call Burnett County and get them coming. Well. So we got in the argument, and his girlfriend thankfully convinced him to leave. So we didn't have an altercation. But again, another fine instance of something that we're, I own a property and I can't even use my property. My son lives on the property, and whether she shows up whenever, however, it should not happen. We have the restraining order, and I swear to God, it's almost like it's a challenge. She comes there more now. So, and currently now, her stuff's stored at the house, her dog's at the house, and her kids come and stay at the house. Now, I don't understand why. And due to the previous altercation she had with my son, I don't know why you would keep showing up there with all of your stuff. But anyway, that's where we're at with that. I probably, Your Honor, went up there from Hudson, Wisconsin, no less than 2 days a week for almost a year, just to deter this. Didn't stop her. As a matter of fact, she bragged to me that she was at the house when I was sleeping there at the house because I was downstairs. So I don't know what it's going to take, whether it's, jail time, whether it's taking care of the damages she's done, however it may be, it needs to happen. Previously in her life, she's gotten out of pretty much everything with a slap on the hand and just don't do it. And I don't think she's learned anything. So, I don't know if I'm really missing anything here. It basically just comes down to that. And before all this started, I tried to talk to her and help her through things. And then after I'm a strong, independent woman and I don't need help. Okay, well, you're not getting my help. So, and I guess the only thing I would like to say in reference to Tori, and hopefully she's paying attention, is spend more time taking care of your children, having a consistent job, not drinking, not doing other things, and you would be a much better person. And I think that's where we're at with all this. I don't know what else to say or do that would sway you any other way as far as what she could do to get better, to get back on track. So I guess that's it, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Haskins. Haskins. You can go to the seat. All right. Mr. Schmidt, argument and sentencing recommendation, please.
So I'm going to go back a ways because I think there's some important historical context for the court to understand why we are where we are now, as well as to give some context to the letter that Mott wrote to the court earlier, which I imagine was pretty confusing for the court if it didn't know the history.
It's not. For the record, I'm very familiar. This goes way back to, I believe, 2022 with Jordan Haskins and criminal charges. And then there was an injunction. And then quite honestly, I have had cases involving the Haskins in Washburn County. I've had cases involving Ms. Mott and the Haskins in Burnett County. I'm well aware, and I was just going to say when you're done, I'm taking judicial notice of the 22 CF46 case with Jordan Haskins, as well as the other matters involving Mr. and Mrs. Haskins and Ms. Mott. But please, for the record, argue all that you're intending on arguing. I just wanted everybody to be aware. I have a really good memory and I recall the facts.
Sure. I'm actually starting in 2016.
2016.
2016.
Could go back to there, but I don't recall off the top of my head what happened in 2016.
You won't because there's no case associated with
Okay,
it.
then I wouldn't be aware of that.
No, I'm going to be talking about law enforcement things too you wouldn't be aware of. In 2016 is when Jordan Haskins, with his then significant other, Courtney Strunk at the time, purchased the property we're talking about here. They lived together until in 2021, the property was quitclaimed entirely to Jordan. They eventually split up. 2021 is also the first time we had a domestic case with Ms. Mott and Mr. Haskins. It was a domestic DC and battery. Because of his limited history, it resolved as just an ordinance in this court. Another incident happened that was more serious in 2022. Victoria was still residing with Mr. Haskins. Without bothering to go into the facts, because I don't think that's necessary, it eventually resolved with Mr. Haskins entering a plea to a domestic battery and a strangulation. He went on deferred agreement with the strangulation. He went on probation for the battery. The strangulation DJOC actually ends in like a little under a month. The term of probation already ended because it was probation on one misdemeanor. During the course of the case, as many domestic abuse victims try to do, Victoria Mott tried to recant her statement. Because we had body cam already back then, we pursued it anyways because her statement on the body cam at the time of the incident was so compelling and Mr. Haskins was so incriminating. During the course, they both did the CRA class to start contact before the case even concluded. When he was placed on probation, DOC, regardless of what the court orders for contact or no contact, can always do their own thing, what they think is safe. And when they have a domestic battery probation where the person also entered a plea to strangulation, they chose to do just no contact at the start until, hey, lay off the training wheels later. During the course of that probation, Jordan did continue to have contact with Victoria, and he served some jail time for it during the course of that. About a year and a half into that, Jordan transferred the property to his parents on a quitclaim saying no consideration. 2 days later, all three of them, his parents and Jordan, filed for restraining orders. Jordan would abandon his restraining order while Christy and Jason would get their restraining orders. That's the restraining order we're saying is violated here. This restraining order is a little unique in that it doesn't just prohibit contact at residences. It names specific addresses regardless of whether they're your residence or not. And this is one of those addresses. Regardless, Jordan Haskins has continued to have a relationship with Victoria Mott, as evidenced by there have been many other of these reports, these referrals of these violation restraining order that we never charged because they were essentially Jordan admitting that she was there on his behest, or Jordan asking, is there anything I can do to end my parents' restraining order? He's continued to live at the same property continuously, even after he gave it to his parents. He seems to have continuously lived there for almost 10 years now. Part of what I think the victims have alluded to, Mott avoiding camera footage so successfully, That's how. He obviously knows where all the cameras are. He can aid her in avoiding those. Regardless, when we got the first spat of those referrals for that kind of restraining order, they weren't as severe. We actually met my office with Victoria Mott back then in terms of her being the victim of the past domestic abuse case, and explained to her, Christy and Jason Haskins have nothing to do with your domestic abuse case. This restraining order through the full faith and credit clause, if you violate it by going to this property, because it says go to the property, even if you have Jordan's permission, is a violation, and warned her if she continued to do it, we would be filing cases. She continued to do it. We filed these cases. The behavior got more and more specific and targeted towards the victims, Christy and Jason Haskins. There's really no reason for it at all for her to be doing that, especially when she's continued to have this on again, off again relationship with Jordan throughout the whole time. That is why in this case, Victoria Mott has no criminal history. So normally you'd look at this and say 3 convictions and a recommendation for 30 days jail right off the bat with probation. Is that too severe? No. I think you've heard the impact on the victims back there, how much it's distressed them, how much unpredictability it puts into their enjoyment of their property. And I think it's necessary here because of the repetition. I wanted these 3 convictions to show the repetition, to lay the basis for habitual criminality if it happens again in the future. And I wanted these 3 convictions to show how serious it was. I think the 30 days jail is necessary to show. We know with first-time offenders, the most effective types of incarceration sentences are short ones, because you put them in too long, they create bad contacts, they create bad behaviors, they get new bad friends where they can hang out at bad places with. When you have someone who doesn't have that criminal history, the short-term shock jail sentences, studies show, are most effective.
That's a fascinating point in criminal justice. Too long behind bars can actually turn someone into a career criminal, but too short means they walk out unchanged. 30 days is meant to shock the system, like a legal jolt of electricity. But here's the real question: will it work on someone this defiant?
So that's why we're doing 30 days jail there. I think that's the best way to deal with that in this case. I think that the conditions of probation should definitely include something looking at AODA. I can't show in any of these that she was under the influence of anything. I know one of the victims has said she had wide eyes and they think that's involved. The only basis I know for it is the domestic cases we had in the past. She had used alcohol for those. In her statement where she tried to recant the second one, she talked about substance abuse issues. I can't think of any other way to explain her behavior in this case, in these cases with targeting these parents of Jordan Haskins. Nothing else makes sense. There has to be something either deeply related to substance abuse or to mental health. Something is going on there to explain why a person who is (31 years old is suddenly behaving in this manner, this consistently over this period of time. You'll notice with the counts that we charge in this complaint, there's actually a significant period of time that these all occurred across. They weren't 1 week, next week, next week. So for those reasons, I think the probation is necessary. I think the jail is necessary. I hope the court has the full context to get an idea of what sort of issues we're dealing at with Victoria Mott, because she shows evidence of substance abuse, of mental health issues. She herself is a victim of domestic violence. We know she's on again, off again, continuing with that person who has been convicted of doing that to her. There are a lot of complicated issues with her, and I'm hopeful the probation is going to be able to help with that, and the jail is going to be helpful with saying to her, like, these bad behaviors need to be punished. Just because you're traumatized does not give you carte blanche to traumatize others. I know that's something we see constantly in the criminal justice system. I can't think of a single defendant we've had over there who themselves has not been the victim of trauma in the past. I think a lot of people don't know that. So that's what my hope is for this sentence. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Polisky?
Thank you, Your Honor. In entering in this plea today, Ms. Mott is paying a price for her actions. She is accepting responsibility for them and is suffering the consequences. I agree with the state in that for someone who has essentially no prior criminal history, that in full honesty, looking strictly from the outside, a year of probation and a 30-day jail sentence may seem severe. I do want to clarify on the record that we are requesting eligibility for ankle monitoring. I understand that Ms. Mott has the funds available for that program. Just wanted to clarify that on the record. But I think that this is an appropriate recommendation under the Galleon factors. Ms. Mott actually was the one who proposed the 30-day jail sanction. I think jail is going to be very appropriate as a deterrent for future behavior, given the nature of this offense, and considering that she will be on probation for a year, she will be further supervised in the community. The community, Your Honor, will be protected from any further violations through this supervision by DOC. And the programming available to Ms. Mott through the department to address any potential mental health, substance use, trauma-related issues will allow her to address her needs. As I've provided in documentation to the court, she has already taken that first step and has reached out for an AODA and subsequent follow-up sessions. She is working forward on moving her life past these incidents, putting distance between herself, between the parties here at issue. She advised in the days leading to this hearing that she actually received an offer for a job out in Lake Elmo, and has considered the possibility of relocating to Minnesota entirely. Lastly, Your Honor, in reference to the letter that she had written and I had submitted to the court, I think what Ms. Mott wants to indicate very clearly to this court is that the relationships that she's had with these individuals have caused her a tremendous, tremendous amount of pain. And I think going forward, her single goal, if she were to only have one, would be to not have any pain anymore. I think that this is an appropriate recommendation, and I would ask the court to follow it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mott, I do have your written statement that you filed here today, and I have read it, and I have highlighted parts in it. And off the record or on the record, I believe Mr. Schmidt has indicated the state has received that and reviewed that as well. Would you like to make a statement here today in open court?
No, thank you.
The court is going to take judicial notice of 23 CV85 and 23 CV83. That would be the injunction cases with Christy Haskins and Jason Haskins versus Victoria Mott. 22 CF46, because it is relevant and does pertain and has a connection with this case and other cases. The state of Wisconsin versus Jordan Haskins. The court is going to take judicial notice of 22 SC208, and that would be the incident or the case involving Christy and Jason Haskins versus Victoria Mott.
So, after all the chaos we just witnessed, impact statements, the prosecutor's history lesson, and the defense's last-minute push, one thing is crystal clear. When you play games with restraining orders, the law eventually plays checkmate. But what do you think? Was the judge too fair here, or should Victoria have faced something harsher? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm really curious where you stand. If this breakdown kept you hooked, smash that like button, share it with your friends, and hit subscribe for more courtroom chaos every single day. This is Order in Court, where I bring you daily breakdowns of real cases, judges dropping the hammer, defendants scrambling, and all the drama in between. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you sticking with me through the whole case, and I'll see you in the next courtroom showdown.